So I went down the rabbit hole the other day, just vibing, looking for games set in Nigeria, and I found something that genuinely surprised me. We are talking about a major AAA game set in Nigeria. This game was released by Ubisoft in 2012, and I thought, wait, we as a country, we've been in this. That one game sent me on a full investigation, and what I found is way bigger than I expected, so I'm definitely turning this into a series. And this is Nigeria in video games, where we go through every single video game that has ever put Nigeria or Africa at large on the map. We look at how we are depicted, fact check the details, and we ask questions nobody in gaming is really willing to ask. Are they doing us justice? And for episode 1 of this series, we are looking at Tom Clancy's Recon Future Soldier 2012. Let's get into it. But before we get into Tom Clancy, in case you are looking for a game that's set in Nigeria, you can literally just go and play Doom 2016. The game is literally set in hell. I don't see a game that would depict Nigeria better than Doom, because we are all living in hell, as we all know. I'm just kidding, but genuinely, Nigeria showing up in a AAA game is really amazing to me, and it actually matters, and I want to show you why. So let's start with some context on what Recon Future Soldier actually is. So let me give you some context on what we are watching right now. This is Tom Clancy's Recon Future Soldier, published by Ubisoft, dropped in May 2012 for the PS3, Xbox 360 and PC. And in case you're wondering, yes, people still play this in 2025, like it's not even a big deal. The gameplay you are watching right now is a third-person tactical shooter with heavy emphasis on stealth, positioning and teamwork. You are not supposed to run in guns blazing. You are supposed to be invisible. Ghost by name, ghost by nature. And one of the things that genuinely impressed people about this game, even more than the missions themselves, was the weapon customization system. You could modify almost every part of your loadout in real time. Barrel, stock, grip, scope, all of it. For 2012, that was genuinely ahead of its time. IGN on release gave this game an 8.5 out of 10. GameSpot gave it a 7.5. The campaign was praised for its length and variety. The multiplayer was considered one of the better co-op experiences for that generation. You play as part of a 4-man ghost squad, elite special operations soldiers operating under the Joint Special Operations Command. Basically, the kind of soldiers that don't officially exist, the ones governments deny knowing anything about. And the story sends them across the globe, chasing private military companies involved in arms trafficking: Bolivia, Zambia, Pakistan, Norway, Russia, and Nigeria. Now, before we get there, and I promise you will get there, let me show you what these first couple of missions look like, because you need to understand who these soldiers are and what they are chasing before the Nigerian mission means anything. So by this point in the campaign, the ghosts have been tracking a private military called Watchgate, and then the trail leads them to Nigeria. The mission is called Noble Tempest. The objective is to extract a CIA officer being held by Watchgate somewhere in Nigeria. Simple enough on paper, but nothing about this mission is simple. What you are seeing here is a stealth-heavy jungle terrain, transitioning into tight urban spaces, real tactical pressure. This is not a run and gun mission. This is the kind of mission where one wrong move and the whole thing falls apart. And trust me, I experienced that a lot. The ghosts have to be surgical here. I wasn't just playing this mission, I was watching frame by frame. Because here's the question that nobody that reviewed this game in 2012 was asking. Did Ubisoft actually research Nigeria? Or did they slap together some generic African environments and just call it a day? Paint is green and black and just call it Delta or Niger Delta? Because yes, the mission actually takes place in the Niger Delta. I went through every frame of this footage. I paused, I rewound, I compared, and this is what I found. And what I found was genuinely interesting, because the answer is not simple. Some things they got embarrassingly right, some other things they got extremely wrong. And one specific thing I spotted on the screen made me stop recording, take off my headphones and just stare at the monitor for a full 30 seconds. We are going to get into all of it right now, but before we do, if you are Nigerian and you just found this channel, this whole series is for us. We are documenting our history in gaming. Every game, every depiction, every detail. Also, you can also check out my video I made on the history of Nigerian gaming. Hit subscribe right now so you don't miss a single episode, because we are going really deep into this. Alright, let's get back to fact checking Ubisoft. First, I want to show you and pay close attention here, because I almost missed this. You see, this is a Suya signage, guy. This is 2012 Ubisoft, by the way, and they it is like they just wrote Suya food, but it's basically a Suya signage. It's crazy that someone on the design team actually put that into consideration, and he thought of it as, because Suya is not generally an African food, if you have done your assignment. So it's something that the person actually has to put, it takes a level of attention to detail to put that into the game. And I have to give credit where credit is due. That was impressive for 2012. Now, while we're on this, they got right, some of the coat of arm depictions in the game are actually inaccurate. Some of them they actually got accurately. In some of the scenes, I will show you the differences. There should be a video of the differences showing. There is one I saw that was red, and there was no River Niger and River Benue. It was just literally a straight line with an eagle and horses, and the two horses on the coat of arm. But some of them they got actually perfectly right. So it was weird to see some of them wrong and some of them right. I feel maybe it was done more of to prevent legal backlash or to prevent the country from suing them, but I don't really know. So the execution was inconsistent, but the intention was real. But this, bro, this is when I say attention to detail. This is one of the things that made me stop recording. Pause, and it was just there. A sign near a communal boy in Nigeria. I cannot explain to you how Nigerian this sign is. Like you don't get. I cannot explain to you how Nigerian. When I mean, it came as a shock from, like, I was trying to like look at the level of detail they put into the map, and I was like, wow, they really thought of this. They really thought of this. If you have grown up in this country, you have seen this sign. You know this sign. You probably have walked past this sign. And the French game studio, Ubisoft Paris, by the way, put it in their 2012 military shooter. That is actually crazy to me. Someone went, found this, and someone said, you know what? If you are setting a mission in Nigeria, we need to put a do not urinate sign here. And their creative director looked at it and said yes. And it shipped in the final game. I respect it genuinely. I genuinely respect it. And this is where it gets serious, and I want you to pay attention, because this one surprised me the most out of everything I found. What you are looking at is an artisanal refinery, and if you know Nigeria, like really know Nigeria, you know exactly what that means and exactly what it represents. Artisanal refineries are very specific to the Nigerian phenomenon. They are tied to the Niger Delta, tied to decades of oil politics, tied to a system where the communities living directly on top of some of the most valuable oil deposits in the world see almost none of the economic benefits. And so people build their own informal refineries just to get something back from the ground beneath their feet. This is not something you find on the first page when you, like on Google, when you just search Nigeria. This is actually, somebody actually had to go in, research it, and research where the mission was going to be set, and research a lot of the problems that region was having. So it's kudos from me to Ubisoft, at least old Ubisoft. For Ubisoft to put that quietly in the background in the 2012 game, not in a cutscene, not in a dialogue, in the actual level, like it is in the actual level, just there in the environment for people who know to recognize it. This is a level of research that most game sets in Africa never bother to do. So I'm giving them that. They actually earn their credits. But, and that's a very big motive I've ever seen one. For everything they go right, there are things they go wrong, and for every one of those things they go wrong, once you see them, it's pretty hard to ignore. Let's talk about architecture, because this is where the research starts to fall apart. Basically, some buildings in the game are very inconsistent. Like, there are some buildings in the game that even me that have been in Nigeria for basically all my life, I've never seen this kind of architecture in play. And they got a lot of it right, because there are some buildings where you be like, okay, this is something like I can find in Nigeria, but there are some buildings where you be like, yeah, this is basically from a buildings access pack. It literally looks like something you can find in like Iraq or like a Middle Eastern country. It doesn't really look West African, basically. So basically what you see is a visual approximation of Africa, not an accurate depiction of Nigeria. And when you compare it to the Suya sign and the artisanal refinery, since they clearly researched with intention, the building inconsistency stand out even more, because you can see the gap between where they tried that and where they didn't try enough. And then we come to the number plates. Nigerian number plates have a very specific format. If you have ever seen Nigerian number plates, you already know. The layout, the color coding, the state identifiers, all of it follows a specific system, and that system has also evolved over the years. Basically, the number plates in the game are not really accurate to what a Nigerian number plate is. If you have stayed in Nigeria for any length of time, you know that the Nigerian number plate is not that length, it's not that height. It's a bit more boxy compared to other countries' number plates, and they have a particular setting that, like, the number plate numbering and letters follow. So it was a bit inaccurate. So where does this leave us? Ubisoft did more research on Nigeria than I honestly expected from the 2012 game. The Suya and the do not urinate sign, the artisanal refinery, that is real homework. That is someone who cared enough to go looking. But the buildings, the number plate inconsistency, and the inconsistent coat of arms, those are the gaps that appear when you don't have someone Nigeria in the room during the production. When there's no one looking at it and being like, hey, this is inconsistent, or there are some inconsistencies. When you don't have someone overwatch, a Nigerian person who has, it doesn't even have to be Nigerian, but someone who has lived in the country for a period of time to look at it and be like, yeah, there are a bit of inconsistency. Also, the architecture could also have been better. I feel for the architecture, I can give them a pass, because it probably was a building pack from some artists who just designed like generic buildings, and a lot of them are not even interactable. They are like background assets, so I can give them a pass on that. But for the number plates, I think the number plate too, I can give them a pass on that. If they just paid a little bit more attention to, you will have noticed and been like, yeah, that's incorrect, or that's not natural feeling. Overall, I'm giving this an 8 out of 10 for how Nigeria was depicted. And honestly, if you're watching this and you spotted something in the footage that I missed, drop it in the comment, because I want this to actually be a community fact check, not just mine. The more Nigerian eyes on this, the better. And while you are down there, hit the like button. I know everybody says this, but please hear me out. This series only reaches more Nigeria if YouTube pushes it, and YouTube only pushes it if the engagement is there. So help us with the like, the comments, and the shares. Thank you very much as you do so. Now I want to hear from you. Did you play Ghost Recon Future Soldier in 2012? Did you even know there was a Nigerian mission in a video game? Or are you finding out right now by watching this video? And if you know any other game set in Nigeria, help us with the comments. I'll be really happy to cover them. You might literally be helping me build the games list for the episodes. And if this is your first time on the channel and you have made it this far into the video, you are definitely clearly about this. Help us leave a subscription. Subscribe to the channel down below, please. Ghost Recon Future Soldier 2012 by Ubisoft is not a perfect game. It's not a perfect depiction of Nigeria, but it is a real one. And for 2012, that really meant something. Now, if you will excuse me, I will need to go and look at how many studios looked at Lagos and decided it was a valid war zone setting.